Hello, everyone. I am Ukiwali, a master's candidate within the University of the West Indies Five Islands campus in Antigua. And today I am going to be illustrating how to teach a social studies lesson using Think Aloud Strategy in the as a mini lesson. And this is for a social studies lesson for thematic unit on the farm for students who live in an area where farming is prominent, to give them appreciation basically of the appearance and of the community. So the objectives for this lesson, the students will be defining community workers. They will identify various community workers on the farm, and then they will have to describe the role of the community workers on the farm. The students in this class, we have one student with autistic, someone who has fetal alcohol syndrome and ADHD. The students have varying symptoms that are across the symptom, which some of the symptoms affect one particular child's ability to read. We have another struggling reader. And so we're using strategies to help those students to begin to comprehend and analyze and various technology as well to help them to begin to understand basically what it is that they're doing in terms of reading. As you know, social studies, one of those content areas that has a lot of reading involved. And so you have to begin to prepare the children, even at a grade two level, to begin to prepare them to understand how to go about understanding social studies texts. So for the introduction, we're going to get them thinking right off the bat, and the children will begin to unscramble the name of some community workers. So all along the lesson, we will look at various community workers. Everyone is not directly on the farm, but all of these persons live in this farming community, and this is the persons who are there that helps the community to be better. So you'll have them unscramble word. So you might give them a prompt. I fight fires in the cornfield if they get started. I wear this. I use this vehicle. I come with a siren, whatever the children need. If the children are able to guess the word firefighter, they can go ahead and they set out their words. And we'll do that with other words. Farmhand, maybe farmer. And then you'll ask, what do these concepts have in thing? You want to get them to understand the concept of farm workers. So firefighter. All these people are workers. Where are they working? They work in the community of Erlins, or they work in the community of Bendels. And these community are what kind of, so these purple persons are community workers, are farm workers, people who work in this farming community. Okay. Once you have done that, then you're going to ask the children, okay, what are other people who work in the community? Get them thinking. How do these community workers maybe differ from maybe a community worker that works in X community? And you get them thinking. Then you're going to get them involved now in the mini think aloud. So this information in the mini lesson will basically prepare them, um, to give them more information on community workers and exactly what they do so that they're able to come up with these creative bits. So the think aloud involves reading or vocalizing your thoughts and reflecting as you read aloud. It helps them to understand and engage more with the information, to monitor and to comprehend what it is that they're reading. You're going to do this in groups, maybe groups of twos or threes, depending. So maybe if you have a gifted child who is a little able, he can just go ahead and read. And then maybe for your student who is really struggling to read, um, he can work with someone who is a little better at reading, and they will have something where the words will come up. So it's the same PowerPoint, but some persons will have it voiced and other persons will have to read it, and it will basically read for them. um, the teacher basically will begin. She will say, today we're going to be using a KWL chart. So they would have maybe had exposure before, what you know, what you want to know, what you want to learn, and then at the end we'll look at what we want to know. And this chart will basically help you to pull all this information together. It helps you to track the children's progress in terms of what they would have learned for that lesson, if you would have exposed them to any additional information, if there's any misconception or clarities that you need to make further, if you need to reteach that lesson, or you need to look at it in a you can move on, you can build on that, then this chart will help you to track that. So the teacher will begin by looking at the topic. The topic is community helpers. What do you know about community helpers? And they will fill out this chart, and then they will talk about what it is that they want to objectives to the students here so that they know what the lesson is going to be about also. So the students will begin, the teacher will begin, so she will model and she will basically maybe begin by teaching vocabulary as well. That's something that I forgot, because maybe the words like community, worker, role, importance, words that some students may remember, others maybe need to they may need additional exposure or need to be exposed to these words that they're able to follow along with you as you go. Then the teacher will do the modeling. So from the PowerPoint, she read a community work is a person who does XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And then she will ask a question, self question as she go. Okay, so what am I reading about? I'm reading about community workers. Who are community workers? Community workers are people who do XYZ. Okay, so that is the role of the person. This is what they do. How are they important? And you go back to, if you need to go back to and you need to find something, you help them to look for that particular information. Then you can have them close their eyes and visualize. Okay, so see that community worker in your head. What are they wearing? What are the community workers doing? What are some of the community workers that you know? Then the teacher may want to model again for students who didn't get it the first time around. So there's some students who are going to get it right off the bat, and that's fine. But for those who did not get it right off the bat, you may want to model a second slide. So you may have someone who is gifted read for you this time. So maybe we're doing the second one is the one on the police officer. So the child would read police officer, blah, blah, blah. Then this time you can, instead of just asking the questions, you begin to ask the students, what are some of the questions that you would like to ask yourselves? And then if they don't get it, then you can help them. But I'm sure some will get, who is a police officer? What is their role? Why is it important? How do we identify police officers? Closing their eyes again to visualize, looking at how the police officers in their community look. Do you know any police officers? Okay, so John Clark is a police officer and he wears this color, and Thomas Brown is a police officer and he wears this color. And maybe you want to talk about why they wear that color if the students are able to take all that information. Then in their groups, you can have the students finish the reading activity, but you will continue to monitor what is happening as the students are reading to see if who needs help, especially the struggling persons. You'd want to go and help them to ask themselves the question, build the understanding. The students who are maybe gifted or those who are able to write, they can write down their responses. So that would, in a sense, give them some industry where they're able to write and continue to develop those writing skills. So police officer is, and maybe they can write a little sentence or paragraph on it if they're able to. So you have to group the children intentionally for this activity so that the students understand exactly what it is that they're supposed to be doing here. Um, it's a very diverse grouping, so that would also be very important to think about as you are grouping your students, to ensure that students who are able to do X are together and those who are able to do Y are together. Unless you're doing a system where you're peer teaching, then that is something that you could do here as well, but not with the students who are very who need a lot of assistance. Okay, so in their groups, then the students will be provided with flashcards. So let's say, for example, they have a picture of the veterinarian, and then they have his name and his description. And they have to read the various description. I take care of animals and help to make them whatever, help to give you information about animals, blah, blah, blah. They look for the description, they put it down, they put the name beside it, and then they find a picture of the person. And that's an activity that they would do together. Now, to conclude the lesson, we could play charades. So you would put the name of the individual community workers in a basket, and you have a student, maybe you pick that student, or you have the group send the student that they would like to help them, and you would have those students basically act out the community work that they have for the others to guess. They can do it, they can't be verbal, however, they only can do actions, and that would help, or they could do drawings, and that would help the students who are creative. So that would help them to help the others to understand who it is that they're talking about. Um, so once you're done with that, the students will then complete a worksheet, and this again lends to students who are more artistic, etc. And this is a worksheet. So they will, of course, write the name, and then they will say, when I'm older, I want to be X. And then they will say, because blah blah blah, and then they will basically draw a picture of themselves as that community worker. And that basically wraps up our lesson on community worker using the Think Aloud strategy in social studies. Thank you for listening.